Welcome to Ultimate News.
All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into a story that really highlights how wild the world of celebrity news can be. Things are rarely what they seem, and we're going to be talking about Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis, Diddy, and a whole lot of speculation. You guys sent us a ton of articles and social media posts about some recent events, and on the surface they seem totally random, but they might actually be connected in some surprising ways.
It's really fascinating how quickly a story can kind of spiral out of control, especially when you throw celebrity into the mix. Social media and a dash of controversy.
Exactly. So let's unpack this. You've probably seen the headlines about Diddy's recent arrest, and some people are trying to connect it back to Ashton and Mila. And then there's this whole other thing about letters of support that they wrote for Danny Masterson. There's a lot to untangle.
Yeah, it really kind of highlights how public perception and personal relationships can collide and get messy, especially when you're in the spotlight.
Totally. So to kick things off, let's rewind to 2019. When Ashton Kutcher was on that spicy chicken wing interview show, Hot Ones, do you remember that? He told this really funny story about Diddy.
Yeah, and that story has resurfaced online after Diddy's recent arrest, and people are making some pretty wild connections.
Yeah, it's amazing how something from years ago can suddenly become super relevant again. But anyway, Kutcher was talking about how Diddy, Mr. Big Time, actually told him not to punk him on the show.
That's pretty funny. It's an interesting little glimpse into Diddy's personality. Even in a lighthearted setting, there's that underlying competitiveness, that need to maintain control of his image.
For sure. And what's even funnier is that they apparently became buddies, hanging out, watching football together. You wouldn't necessarily picture those two as BFFs, right?
Right. It's one of those unexpected celebrity pairings.
Yeah.
That reminds you that behind the personas, they're just people with their own unique connections.
Totally. Okay, but here's where the story gets really good. Diddy, Kutcher, and a bunch of paparazzi go on a run together. Now picture this. Diddy, all decked out in his finest workout gear, starts to lose steam. He's getting winded. The paparazzi are snapping away, and he's not about to let them catch him looking weak.
Oh no. Classic Diddy. Always aware of the image he's projecting.
Exactly. So he starts begging Kutcher to slow down. Subtly, of course. Doesn't want to admit he's struggling. Kutcher said Diddy was so embarrassed afterwards that he ended up training for and running the New York City Marathon. Can you believe that?
Wow, that's commitment. But it's not just about Diddy being competitive, though. It's about how he channels that energy into something productive. It's almost like he's proving something to himself and to the world. That run kind of becomes a metaphor for his drive to overcome any challenge, no matter how public or embarrassed.
That's a good point. I never thought about it like that. Okay, so fast forward to today and Diddy's recent arrest. Suddenly this old story about the marathon resurfaces, and people are connecting dots that probably shouldn't be connected. Luckily, one of the sources you sent us directly calls out those rumors as ridiculous and false.
That's good, because it's a reminder that speculation can run rampant online, and it's crucial to rely on verified information instead of getting swept up in the gossip mill.
I totally agree. And another source clarifies that Ashton's interactions with Diddy have mostly been at public events or for business purposes, so nothing shady or secretive going on there.
Right. It really highlights the importance of context. It's easy to kind of cherry pick information and spin a narrative. But having the full picture helps us separate fact from fiction.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've covered the Diddy side of things. Now let's shift gears to the other big piece of this puzzle, the letters of support that Ashton and Mila wrote for Danny Masterson. This is where things get a lot more complex and honestly pretty heavy.
Yeah, it definitely touches on some sensitive topics and raises questions about loyalty, accountability, and how we navigate these situations when friends have done wrong.
As you probably know, Masterson was their former That 70s Show co-star, and he was recently convicted of rape and sentenced to prison. There has been so much backlash directed at Ashton and Mila for writing those letters, and they even released a video addressing the situation.
Wow, yeah. This is where public perception becomes even more critical.
Yeah.
Because they're not just dealing with the legal ramifications of Masterson's actions.
Yeah.
But also the court of public opinion.
Right, and that court can be brutal. So in their video, they start by making it crystal clear that they fully support victims of sexual assault and have even dedicated themselves to combating child sexual abuse.
That's an important statement to make up front, especially given the sensitive nature of this whole situation.
Yeah, for sure.
Stay tuned for more Ultimate News.
Preview. Ashton and Mila's recent statements really highlight the complexities of navigating personal relationships in the public eye. They expressed regret over the potential pain their letters might have caused, which shows a remarkable level of empathy. It's a reminder that our actions can have ripple effects we might not foresee. What began as a light-hearted story about Diddy training for a marathon has morphed into a significant discussion about accountability and the ethical dilemmas we face when friends are implicated in wrongdoing. It raises the question, where do we draw the line between loyalty and acknowledging harm? This situation is a real-life ethical puzzle, forcing us to confront our values and beliefs in the face of uncomfortable truths. It's fascinating how interconnected our lives are, especially in the realm of celebrity culture, and how these narratives can reflect our own experiences,